Hey everybody, I'm live with HSFL Paranormal. How's it going? This is After Dark. Scary ghost stories at night. I hope everybody's doing well tonight. Please let me know in the comments how you're doing. I hope everybody's well. We are just getting loaded up on here. I hope everybody likes the banner and the setup tonight. Panther Zone Studio, how are you? Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you, brother. Alright. Just loading up here. Just trying to make sure all the things are working properly. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight on another episode of After Dark. I believe this is number 8 now. We have G-Fam in the house. How's it going, G-Fam? I hope you're doing well tonight. Nine people, 10 people in the house. Thank you guys so much. Wow, you guys are up late. Where you guys, put in the comments below where you guys are from. What state, what part of the country you're in. See where all these night owls are from. Road Trains Tiger, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. Let's see. We have Jeanette Moore. How are you? We have Leah and Ladybug. We have Panther Zone Studio. All right. Computer just not sure what's going on. I just have this weird surge here. Can everybody still see me? Yeah, I'm frozen, guys. I'm not sure what's going on here. Let's see. CPU bumped to 50. Okay, it's settling down. Yep. My YouTube's crashing. Okay, hold on just a second. I don't know what happened there. That was weird. Yeah, if anybody could tell me what's going on, I've never had this problem before. You guys can still hear me? Okay, good. Let me unplug my camera and plug it back in and see if that does the trick here. Okay. I think I'm back on live with the camera. I don't know what was going on, but just a small technical difficulty. Seems like it was running at an extremely high CPU for whatever reason. Still kind of is, so I'm sorry if it drops again. Okay. I'm having some real lag issues. Hope I'm not dropping my thing too much. Yes, I am back. Okay. Movie Buff is from Maryland. Welcome, Movie Buff. I hope you're doing well tonight. Welcome, welcome. We had Texas. Jeanette Moore is from Alabama. We have Movie Buff from, let's see, Maryland. We have Fee Faz. Aren't you from Australia? Or was that Road Trains Tiger? Very well could be. There's some weird stuff that definitely goes on in this house. 16 people watching right now. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it, guys. Thank you for all your guys' love and support. I am here in California. G-Fam is all the way in Alaska. Whoo! Holy smokes. How's it up there in Alaska? Pretty cold, or is it not bad yet? Okay. Okay, so Fee is there. Okay. Going to bed, turning out the lights, and listening. HSFL, thank you for tucking me in and telling me a story. Much love, doll. Oh, I hope I don't keep you up too bad with the stories that I'm about to read. There's some good ones that I found too. Mod Squad Comedy is in the house. You need a monster drink. Not this late at night, I don't. I actually haven't drank those, and I haven't drank any of those like high caffeine drinks in probably 2 years, 3 years maybe. Yeah, I think it's been 3 years. Last time I drank them, I was driving through from California to North Carolina. That was the last time, so it's been about 3.5 years. So that's a knock on wood. I haven't touched that. Hey, we got the sharpshooter in the house. How you doing, James? Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for posting my links. I do appreciate that, my friends. Yes, both of y'all are both from Australia. Well, welcome from the land down under. And, sorry, that was a really bad impression. Oh, okay. Panther Zone Studios is also from Australia, from Victoria, near Melbourne. Okay, gotcha. Awesome, awesome. Hey, Mod Squad. Good to see you, my friend. So many awesome channels here. 17 people watching. I do appreciate all the love and support, guys. Thank you so much for coming by tonight and sharing your free time with me. Or you're on your way to work and you needed just listen to something on the way to work. That's awesome too. They're bad. They are a boatload of sugar and caffeine. Yes, they are. Yeah, I have problems with my heart already. I don't really tell people, but yeah, I do have like a minor heart arrhythmia, and caffeine doesn't help, and I have ADHD, which really does not help with caffeine. So I have to be really careful. I'm really trying to even stop doing caffeine altogether. One of the hardest things that I've been having to deal with though is the nicotine. Like I just quit smoking like, what was it, 5 months ago? Yeah, just shortly before I moved back here to California. Quit smoking, and that was really hard to do, but I've been doing it with the nicotine patch, and it seems to be working for the most part, so I'm lucky that that's helping. Yeah, it looks like we're having some lag issues. It's probably running a higher CPU because of the coloration of the banner and the other colors, the two-tone. So that's probably why I'm having a little bit of a lag issue, because my computer's having to like run on overtime right now. So for not hey Christy C, how are you? I hope you're doing I hope you're doing well tonight. I had an operation where they went through the groin to zapped a heart muscle and adjusted my heart rate a lot slower. Wow. That's one hell of a surgery there. Huh. Holy smokes. Okay. I couldn't do the gum. No matter how hard I tried to do the gum and I just couldn't do it. The nicotine gum was just really difficult for me. Hey, Egyptian Gamer Geek, how are you? Been better, but good. Well, that's good to hear, Christy C. Just dropping in to say some support. Alrighty, thank you so much. Very short surgery. Oh, okay. Huh. I'm gonna have to look into something like that. Wow, there's 21 people here right now. Thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate all of your nice comments. And we got Stephanie Perez. When I quit smoking, I went cold turkey 11 years ago, and it was really a horrible. Yeah, I could imagine. I couldn't do it cold turkey. If I did it, I think I would have probably said some really unchoice things to people, more than I already have with the nicotine patch. I think I would be a lot more irritable than I am right now trying to quit. But it's something I'd been doing since I was 14 years old, and it was a really hard thing to get over, was the whole smoking thing. So definitely, smoking was not an easy thing to get rid of. Let's see. Okay. Let's go over to the stories. I only been smoking for 8 years. Me either. Yeah, 8 years. Whew. I mean, I smoked damn near 10 years, which was too much. Because I went for a period where, like, I want to say from like 14 to like 16, I was pretty much like doing it here and there. But when I was like 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, up until about 5 months ago, I started smoking like a pack a day, a pack and a half a day. At one point, I was like at 2 packs a day. It was really, really rough. I can't quit. I've tried numerous times. Yeah, it's a really bad habit, Crystal Brooks. It's a really tough habit to get rid of, and it's not something you can do overnight. And I've tried for like the last 3 years to try quit smoking and improve my health. Ever since my daughter was born, I've been really, really trying to quit, because I didn't want her being affected by the smoke. Maria gives me hugs. Hashtag Mod Squad. How you doing? So good to see you. Yeah, my dad did 3 packs a day and had a heart attack at age 50. Jesus. Man, that is crazy. With my job, I needed my breaks. Yeah, see, I quit before I started before I ever started smoking. I just used that more as an excuse when I got into the workforce, is to smoke, because it helped with my anxiety. At least I thought, but it was actually making my anxiety worse. I'm doing the vape. I stepped down my nicotine levels. I'm getting close to 0. Awesome. See, I wish I had the chance to do the vape. I loved vaping. I just could never get above 12 or get below 12 or 6. No matter how hard I tried, my body would just freak out. I'm a native, so I get cartons cheap. Oh, okay, gotcha. I'm here in California. They're $11.50 a pack, if you can believe that. That was another reason to quit. In North Carolina, they were only like $6 a pack. I'm 32 and I've been smoking for 16 years. Wow. Yeah, it's a hard addiction, guys. It's something that is not easy to stop doing. My breaks are my time done with the chaos and the kids. Oh, gotcha. Hey, Paranormal Circle, how you doing? I hope you're doing well tonight. Let's see. Hey, Frozen Fury 009, how are you, my friend? I hope you're doing well tonight. Oh my gosh, there are so many people in the chat. $20 a carton? Holy shnikes. If I could smoke that cheap, I would probably go back. No, just play it. I shouldn't say that. Wow. Yeah, see, out everywhere else other than like the bigger states where they had taxed the shnikes out of everything. One thing I'm going to try to do really work really hard on is not cussing on my channel. And it's going to be hard, but I have like a 30-day plan to cleanse myself of the cussing on my channel. Let's see here. That's crazy. $5.68. That's That's awesome. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up on the chat on my phone because sometimes the chat moves too fast on the actual software. So I've been trying to keep up with your comments, but I am going to get to the stories here soon. Nice. Little over $4 a pack still in Arkansas. Yeah, when I drove through Arkansas, they were pretty cheap. Because I smoke Marlboro, so actually, at the last year of my smoking, I was more into Camels, but I just couldn't do it anymore. I was coughing all the time, and it was making me miserable. Yeah, see, carton of cigarettes is about a minimum of $130. Jeez, and see, I would blow through that in a week, guys. That's crazy. Just about almost a week, I would blow through a carton of cigarettes because I would get such bad anxiety. I would chain smoke. My fiance's, and yeah, they're outrageous. Sometimes he'll send them a carton. Yeah, that's crazy too. That's awesome though. You'll just send them a carton over from where you're at. That's funny. I used to smoke Marlboro Lights when I lived in the States. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I smoked Marlboro Reds, and I smoked 27s, and I smoked Marlboro Menthols and Marlboro Menthol Lights, and then I switched over to Camels in the last year. We're smoking those heavy duty Camel menthol cigarettes, and I was just finally like, I need to get rid of this habit. It's so bad. So I ditched it by the grace of God. Hey, Pop Couple, how are you? Good to see you. Welcome to the channel and welcome to the stream. I hope you're doing well. Sorry to get on the weird topic of smoking and how bad it is for your health, but I think it is a very vital part of. Let's see, I got a little bit of lag back on the screen here. Hopefully that'll fix itself. Skipping a few frames. Yeah, you live in Australia. Wow, that's crazy. I'm doing well. I'm just relaxing after I just got home from work and wanted to hang out with you guys and share some scary stories. I hope you guys are ready. Alrighty, so we got our first scary story, and it's called The Basement Room. Years ago, a family was on a vacation in Cape Cod when they rented a small old house for about 2 weeks to stay in. The main floor was the kitchen, the living room, and the bathroom. They were on the second floor, where there was a basement downstairs with a washer and dryer and a sofa and television. On the first night, they were all wakened by a terrible scream from the sister's bedroom. When my dad burst into her room and turned out the light, he found her sitting up in bed screaming and crying. The parents sat down with her and comforted her until she finally came down enough to tell him that what had scared her. Wow, that's crazy. Some of these are true stories. So it'll tell me if they're true. This one appears to just be a scary story. Most of these ones that I've read, and I don't own the rights to any of these. I just like to do these scary ghost stories at night just to have fun and relax. But some of them are scary, are true stories, and it will tell me. So I'll let you guys know when this is a true story. Doesn't sound like this one is. She said that she had been awakened in the middle of the night by a horrible stench. When she opened her eyes, she had the entire room had been soaked in blood from top to bottom. There was blood all over the floor and bloody handprints on the walls, and the blood spatter was all over the ceiling. We thought that she had been having a nightmare, but she refused to go back to the bedroom and stayed in her parents' room for the remainder of the holiday. One evening, the mother was cooking dinner in the kitchen upstairs, and my father had gone out on an errand into the town nearby. My sister and I were in the basement room watching TV when all of a sudden the light bulb popped and the TV went off, leaving us in complete darkness. The basement was unfinished, and it had some old stone walls, making it a bit of a creepy place to be. For a few seconds, we just froze, not knowing what to do. When we started to smell something horrible. It was a horrible stench, and it hit our noses. We felt nauseous. It smelled like rotting flesh. The smell grew worse and worse. And then, just as we heard scratching in the darkness, something seemed to be scratching at the floor or the walls. The screams began scrambling around in the pitch black, trying to find the door. Eventually, we managed to open the door and run upstairs, screaming to our mother. We kept telling her about the disgusting smell and how we heard something scratching and scampering around down there. My mother eventually agreed to go down to the basement, replace the bulb, and check out the source of the horrible smell. She took the flashlight and a new bulb and disappeared into the dark basement. As we waited for her to come to the top of the stairs, we expected her to return quickly, but at that time she seemed to have been down there for an eternity. Oh, okay. See you soon. Sunil Sharma, how you doing? Welcome from India. How are you? So good to see you. Suddenly, we saw her emerge out of the darkness and come running up the stairs. She slammed the basement door and bolted as fast as she could. She turned to us, and when we saw her face, she had been completely drained of color, her eyes wide with fear, and she just said, "I don't want you going down there again." And when she went to the kitchen and called the police. We overheard the conversation over the phone and managed to figure out that someone was down in the basement room. As we waited for the police to come, we huddled together in the living room, staring at the basement floor. At any moment, we expected someone barging on and breaking out down the door. My mother refused to tell us what she had seen. When the police arrived, my mother greeted them at the front door, ushered them inside. She unbolted the basement door and went into the darkness with their flashlights and their guns drawn. They searched the entire basement, but nothing was found. There was no other way. Okay, I'll tell my own story after this one. There was no other way out of the basement. No windows and no doors. Whatever was down there had to have been coming up through the basement door. After the police had left, they finally revealed that she had been down there in the pitch black basement room. As she spoke, she began very still and quiet. She had said that she had been changing the light bulb downstairs. When she began to smell the horrible stench that was described to her, she started to hear a faint scratching noise. She shone her flashlight around the room and suddenly caught something crouching between the washer and the dryer. No, seriously, I will tell my own real story after this. I promise. And it was a man crouched on all fours. His clothes were tattered and his hair was wild and tangled. His face did not look human. It was twisted in an expression of pure hatred. In a split second, he looked up at my mother, eyes reflecting off the beam of her flashlight, then suddenly crawled forward and disappeared through the wall. My mother saw him simply vanish into thin air. She dropped the flashlight and ran. After that, none of us would go into the basement. We kept the door locked and bolted every night, and we slept with our parents' room with the door locked as well. We cut our holidays a few short days later and just drove home. I hope everybody liked that story. That one is called The Basement Room. Alright, so you guys want to hear fan submissions of one of my personal stories. I hope everybody's doing well tonight. Thank you guys for the 18 thumbs up. I do appreciate it. How you doing, Hen Kid? So good to see you, my friend. I hope you're well. Alright, guys. Alrighty, let's see. My Cry for Help, how are you? Hey, welcome, My Cry for Help. Alright, let's see here. Alright, so you guys wanted to hear one of my personal stories. Okay. So, recently I went to the Green Hotel. This place was in Shafter, California, which is about 3 hours from where I live. And we went there. Seemingly, we knew this place was haunted. We just didn't know how bad it was. We were kind of taken by surprise, I guess is the word to say. When we got through Bakersfield, I already had my knowledge that there was something off about the town, and it's probably just Bakersfield. Bakersfield is a rough town to be in. Lots of crime, just really hot and dry and very drought-stricken, almost like a living ghost town itself. Okay, no problem. I cry for help. This town this town of Shafter was even more of a ghost town itself. Nightbot is not a real person. He is a automated moderator that's partnered through through YouTube to help moderate for you. Just to give my moderators a little less time having to work hard. Let's see here. Let's see. So when we got there, it was probably late in the evening. It was probably like early evening. I want to say it was like the sun had just gone down, and we arrived. And this place looks very similar to like the Lizzie Borden house. Panther Zone Studios. I am using OBS for Mac. Where was I? It looked very close to the Lizzie Borden house, and when we arrived, immediately, I could feel that there was a spiritual presence, most like the other haunted houses that I have been to. But I didn't feel threatened. I felt a woman's presence pretty quickly going into that place. She didn't really have like a standout emotion. It didn't seem super strong. I knew it was there. Hey, how you doing, Wendy? I hope you're doing well, my friend. How's it going? So good to see you. when we had gotten there, so I felt that presence, and I don't know, it didn't feel super threatening. It didn't feel awful or anything. And like at first, I didn't know that was like, I didn't know what the rest of the place was. Then we interviewed her, our paranormal team, which is Presence of the Unknown, and I'll put it in the link below here. There goes Nightbot here. POTU. Check out Presence of the Unknown. It's a really, really cool channel. We work really hard on it, and I'm trying to move some people over to that channel. So there's the link for it. Subscribe to my paranormal team, Presence of the Unknown. We put all of our videos out mostly in 4K or 1080p, whatever the software at the time works for YouTube. We will be transitioning to all 4K night vision here pretty soon. But the software we've been using is not on my computer, and it's been on somebody else's, so we definitely have some things to work on. Guys, please make sure you tweet this out and share it out on Twitter. Let's get some people in here and have more people enjoy some of these stories. So we go in, and the lady shows us these two dolls that are in glass cases. And you can see the video. It is on Presence of the Unknown. It was like the first introduction that I had created, and it's been in multiple videos relating to the Green Hotel series that we put out. And there's these two dolls that are in glass cases, and I swear throughout the night that their arms moved, and I'm still waiting to see the static cam images. We might put them into time lapse to see if... What the fuck? Oh, this is not happening. This whole full moon thing's been going kind of crazy. Okay. Just some weird events have been going on since this. Had to refresh. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I should have full internet connection, so I don't know what's going on. I might try to just run my phone straight off of just the service provider instead and see if I could drop the CPU a little bit. I don't know if that's gonna work, but okay. Hopefully I'm still live, and I don't know if I'm gonna have this issue again, but I'm having issues with the counter. Okay, that's not it. Yeah, hold on. Okay, I'm just refreshing some stuff, making sure it's working properly. So there we go. The live counter should be back on, working. So, yeah, no problem. I saw that too. It's all good. I know what you meant. But yes, so we get into the hotel. The place immediately kind of gives me that vibe that it's haunted. But I'm still kind of looking for some of the calling cards I usually see during haunted locations. And I actually didn't find them until about halfway through the investigation. After we had set up, did the interview. Then we went upstairs, and that is when it all changed. We immediately had crazy EMF levels after we had shut off the power to the upstairs while we were investigating. Okay, so it's a YouTube thing. Gotcha. No problem. Guys, if I missed anybody here, should have tried to shout out everybody's name. Yeah, it's either YouTube or the software. My computer's running a bit hard tonight for some reason. I even refreshed my computer to make sure it wasn't having any issues. So we go up to the room, and immediately I turn on the spirit box. Something I don't do in my home anymore, but because I'm way more careful of what I do within the paranormal field in my own home, if that makes sense. So I was recording and doing the spirit box session, and immediately I hear the phrase, "No women." I'm going, "No women?" And it says again, "No women." So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to try a different spirit box and see what happens. So I put in, I hid that down again. "Hey, Cynthia, how are you? I hope you're doing well tonight." Guys, if you're new to the channel and you haven't considered subscribing to my channel, make sure you consider subscribing. Your name will be brought up in bright lights on the screen here, right in front of my face. Should, at least. So if you want to consider subscribing, it'll actually show up here on the wheel too, that you subscribed, right where it says 1565. It'll actually go up. Let's see here. So we get up there, and I tried the second spirit box session with a different spirit box setup. This time using the SB7. I was using Spiritus app. So I just wanted to confirm, like, what I had been hearing was what I was hearing. And so I turn up the SB7 and put the Bluetooth speaker to it, and all of a sudden it says, "No women." And I'm like, really? The SB7 too? So something was really wanting to tell us that they did not want women there. Later on, we found out that the upstairs had been used as a men's boarding house during the Great Depression when people from Oklahoma were coming through. So yeah, that was pretty crazy. And then I hear the name Philip, and what was the other name? It was a German name. It wasn't like Wolfgang, it was like something else. But anyways, there was two names that came up of German descent, and we later verified that the house had predominantly been, well, the town had predominantly been a German settlement of people that congregated to that area. And so that was pretty cool, and that was verified by the homeowner. And we went there, and so we went upstairs and continued to investigate the 3 rooms that were up there. And these 3 rooms were just, "Hey, Kim Fitzgerald Rock Fam, how are you? Welcome, my friend." And when we were up there, all of a sudden our walkie-talkies were flipping out. And you can watch this on our latest video. And then all of a sudden, something tried to come over the walkie-talkies. I don't think it was Kaiser. No, it was... If somebody has watched it from Presence of the Unknown, please refresh me. There was 2 names that continuously came up. It was Philip and... I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was a very German name. I just can't remember. And when we had the walkie-talkies, they started flipping out, and we were like, "Okay, what's going on with the walkie-talkies? This shouldn't be happening." And the walkie-talkie went like somebody had pressed a button, and I was like, "Cynthia, was that you?" Cynthia is one of our investigators who was monitoring all the computers downstairs that night because it was only the 3 of us. And Heinz. That doesn't sound familiar either. I'm gonna have to like let you guys know on the next show when I talk to Joe from Presence of the Unknown. Um, I am just blanking tonight. I'm really tired. It wasn't any of those. Uh, but yeah. So all of a sudden went, and it had this almost demonic voice come over the radio, and it wasn't her. She was like playing with us earlier in the night, and we could tell when she was making up on the over the intercom, and it wasn't that. It was like this man with like this demonic voice, and it said no, kind of like that, and it just stood us in our tracks. I mean, we were like, holy crap, what was that? I ended up running down the stairs. It freaked me out so bad. And ever since then, I think that's when I started getting attacked by whatever that thing was. And I'm not sure. I can't be verified when that thing attached itself to me, whether it was the murder house or it was the Green Hotel. But something attached itself to me. And ever since then, I had a really bad issue. I was waking up with like burns and scratches across my neck. I was waking up with like cuts on my arms and my hands that I didn't have the night before. And I was waking up with mind-blowing headaches, heaviness in my chest, stuff that I had never had before, and it was freaking me out. And I wasn't sure why it was happening until I started doing the research, and all of a sudden, and then every live stream I would do, something would happen in the back of me, and that some of my viewers had to let me know. I have those videos up on my Facebook page. Some of them of the pictures are up on Instagram and Twitter as well. But yeah, I had like the scratches across my neck. I had claw marks on my hands. Yeah, it was bad. Budget, outdoors, and survival. How are you? So good to see you, Tara Cope. How are you doing tonight? Sorry for the hiccup. And so I ended up having to have a member of clergy actually come over to my home and do a blessing on the house, and then I had to have my necklace right here blessed. I had to have the cross that I put in my room blessed, and so yeah, it was really really crazy. Um, you are so cute. Do you like paranormal? Who are you referring to, Panther Zone Studio? But yeah, so that house or that situation was really messed up. And we had multiple EVPs outside of the Green Hotel, voices coming over from the outside where there had been like migrant workers that had died in the area. Plus that area had tons of murders and it was pretty nasty. The dolls moved. The dolls freaked me out. There's three dolls. One of them was on a bed, and all three of them had real human hair, and that's what added to the scariness of that house. Um, so that was pretty much the Green Hotel. The murder house was, in my opinion, worse. We had the murder house, and that was in Santa Maria, California. That's only about 45 minutes from where I am, just north of Santa Barbara. And we got a consultation from our mailing list to do paranormal investigations off of our website. Oh, gotcha. It kept moving during the whole live stream. What kept moving? Oh, yes. You saw the video where the blinds behind me were getting pulled down and opened and closed. Yeah, that video was freaking crazy. I need to like eventually like release that video on Facebook, but I'm figuring a way how I can edit it. Um, so I'm gonna be trying to work on that. But that was pretty crazy. My bed is moving right now or before? Oh, that was because I think that one was explainable because I often like get uncomfortable and I kick this table and it the what do you call it? The camera would move, and I think that's why. I could be wrong. This house does have some weird stuff that happens, but maybe I still think this house is haunted. And if you see anything, let me know in the comment section. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's some crazy stuff that's happened on live stream. I've caught in demonic faces on my live stream behind me. I've had my spirit box in my house tell me to be careful and watch out behind me, and laugh. It's laughed at me, cussed at me, crazy stuff. And yeah, so there was some nutty stuff that happened in my house, and that's kind of why I started this channel originally, was to document all the crazy stuff that happened in this house. Uh, I wasn't actually like thinking about creating a full paranormal team until somebody had noticed one of my videos and they were from my local area and they're like, "Hey, no, I'm thinking about starting a paranormal team. Would you be interested?" I'm like, "Absolutely." And that's kind of how Presence of the Unknown kind of gotten started. Uh, Lily Ann hashtag Tokenets22. How are you? I hope you're doing well tonight. Yeah, it's so much easier now that I have the boom. So we get to the murder house in Santa Maria. That place was pretty nuts. Hold on, I'm just gonna check the stats real quick here. Just want to look at something. Thank you guys for the 26 thumbs up. I really do appreciate it, guys. Please make sure, if you are here, make sure you smash that like button, fam. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to my channel, or at least consider it. I do have merch as well. If you guys would like to look at men's, women's, children's, and clothing, I have socks and accessories for both the iPhone and Android cases. I actually have a sticker that's going to be going on the back of my new iPhone case, and I'm actually viewing you guys right now. That's how I'm seeing all your messages in real time. So I got it on one of the wireless docks here, so it actually charges on this pad standing up, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I sound sleepy a little bit. I just got off of work about an hour prior to this live stream. Your hoodie is coming Friday. Oh wow, thank you so much. Oh, don't worry about it, Free. I don't recommend. It's cool when people buy my merch and stuff and help support the channel, but honestly, your support means the world to me, guys. Thank you so much for everything you guys do, for the constant thumbs up and the support that you give my channel. That's all I really care about, guys. The tweets and the Instagram messages and the Facebook shares, that's what really counts here on HSFL Paranormal. That's what I really care about. To anybody who's new, to like get acquainted with this channel, my name's John. I'm a paranormal investigator on the Central Coast of California. I've traveled all over the United States to different haunted and non-haunted locations, multiple times over. I can't wait. It's getting cold here in England. Oh wow, that would be awesome. You gotta, when you get the jacket or whatever, make sure you take a picture of the jacket that you bought and post it on to my what do you call it? James said he's new. Make sure that you post it onto Instagram or onto my Twitter and put the @ at HSFL Paranormal. Oh, hey, Panther Zone Studio. Thank you so much for following me on Instagram. I really appreciate that. Thank you. So we go to the murder house, and immediately I'm getting weird vibes. Like, I feel uncomfortable even before I get out of the car to this location. I just felt this heaviness. I felt uneasy. I was worried. And I get into this house, and immediately I'm like, oh God, there's something so wrong with this place. I was just getting this immense feeling of like, there was like, am I doing anything for Halloween? I'm going to be trying to drop a history of Halloween video. It's going to take a lot of animation, and I'm not going to be able to get started on it until this weekend. And it's going to be a lot of time. It's going to be very time consuming. So I'm going to trying. I know, James. I know you, Bo. Uh-oh. Look, I did. LOLA. Yeah, I'm going to be trying to drop like a history of Halloween video, and James, you're a trip, yeah. And so it's gonna like incorporate like how Halloween got started up until like present day, what we do. Hey, Robles family vlog, how are you? I hope you're doing well tonight. Good to see you, my friend. Hello. Welcome to the channel. I don't think I've ever seen you on here before, so welcome, my friend. Don't really celebrate Halloween here in England. It's so unfair, really. Don't really here either. Yeah, I mean, I don't really like participate in it like I used to when I was a kid. But I try to like do stuff nice for the neighborhood and stuff, and like give out candy when I can. But as far as dressing up, I don't do it as much. Last year I tried to, and it was an epic fail. And I'll share that in a minute. But yeah, so we get to the murder house, and I start talking to the homeowner. So I'm like, what have you gone through here? And she goes, well, when I was a kid, something has always followed me because I played with the Ouija board. I'm like, oh, okay. Wasn't 100% sure this is why her house was haunted, but there was a weird vibe around her and her husband. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, this is black and white, but this shirt is actually red, like a burgundy, like almost like a wine color. But yeah, like, so they had been playing with a Ouija board, and the house was really messed up. And we enter the house and start talking to them, and we hear weird noises coming from what sounds like the basement. Hey, PSPR Paranormal Pursuit. How are you doing, my friend? So good to see you. Leah MC Name, how are you? Wow, thank you so much. Had a show in England called The Most Haunted Live. It was on the Travel Channel. Used to watch it. Yeah, that's cool. And we went into this place, and the homeowner was uneasy. Actually both of the homeowners were incredibly uneasy. And so we're like, okay, well, let's just investigate, run the EMF. Found some weird findings in about every room in the house. Did a little spirit box session, tried to figure out where the most energy was occurring within the home. Hey, Paranormal Circle, welcome back. How are you? And guys, my biggest thing here on HSFL Paranormal is go help and support one another, and that always is awesome. Yeah, Halloween is getting close there, Robles family vlog. Yeah. And so we get to this house, and like immediately we start hearing like noises coming from the basement, which sounded suspicious and weird. We weren't sure what was going on, and so we went down there to investigate. And I was so freaked out by that basement. I brought my blessed cross down there, and when I put it down, all of a sudden I saw the cross go right upside down. This thing was totally insulting God. Like, I prayed before, actually multiple times before we even stepped in the house, during and after the investigation, before we got in the car, and through the car ride back home. I was praying my ass off after this place. It was really, really crazy. No, I just cussed. Dang it. Um, but yeah, like, so we got in there, and we heard the noises coming from the basement. We heard like scratching. All of a sudden I hear this yelling coming from the upstairs, and I was live streaming at the murder house on Presence of the Unknown. One of our teammates had gotten scratched all the way from her ear down towards the front of her neck by something that we couldn't see. And this was in the hall. Did I go off live again? Oh, I don't know what's going on. Okay. It looks like the camera is back to normal too right now. I don't know what's going on with that whole ordeal. My counter keeps messing up too. So hold on just a second. Okay, here we go. Oh, you see me? Okay, gotcha. Alright, it was just weird. It was a weird glitch thing. I was trying to like reset it, guys. Thank you guys for the 29 thumbs up, guys. One more away from 30. Thank you guys so much for your time. Wow, 25 people in here this late. Thank you guys so much for joining on tonight. So we get into the hallway where she had been scratched, and I turn on my spirit box and I said, "Hello, who is this?" And it said Carlos. I was like, "Okay, Carlos, how did you die?" And he said, "I don't know," on the spirit box. And we're like, "Okay, how old are you, Carlos?" 10. And immediately I kind of got a red flag. I don't trust child spirits worth a dang anymore. Like, after all the stuff that I've been through doing the paranormal stuff, traveling all over the country and growing up the way I did, I don't trust child spirits. And so I said, "Is this really a 10-year-old spirit?" And then I kind of heard like a chuckle on the spirit box, and I was like, "Yeah, it's like one of those trickster evil spirits that we have to deal with." And this thing was mocking us the entire night, and in mocking our faith, it didn't care. And this is why I think something attached itself to me, and I brought it home. Because after that, that's when I started having issues. And like, not only did she get scratched, we had I got pulled by the ear down in the basement while we were investigating. We were having like an orb storm in that house. It was crazy. My buddy got pulled back by his shirt by an unseen force. Another one of our members felt like they were getting choked. Like, it was no joke, guys. Like, seriously, like, that house was messed up. But seriously, that's not even the crazy part of what happened in that investigation. Okay, I will never ask for anyone for my cousin Charlie again. Like I said, most of the time it's not a child spirit. Yeah, this place was messed up. If you guys want to watch those episodes, please do. They're on Presence of the Unknown. We had 2 live streams and about 6 videos on the murder house, and we had no live streams, and I think we're on our 4th video just dropped on Presence of the Unknown. So yeah, There was definitely some crazy stuff that happened at that house. I am so happy I can finally see you. I kept missing you. What kind of protection do you use while investigating? First of all, I use a blessed cross. I got this blessed at the Catholic Church here in California. Um, yes, Terry Cope here. I'm gonna put an exclamation mark POTU. It should drop the link for Presence of the Unknown. Okay, here, let's see. Yeah, where it says here in a second, where it says subscribe to my channel, Presence of the Unknown, you can click on that link and it will bring you to their page. I mean, our page, I should say. And you can watch our investigation stuff. Oh, you were binge watching POTU? Gotcha. Yes, I do use holy water too. So I have a few bottles of that now. I used about 3 bottles on my house, trying to cleanse it. But okay, got it. Just subbed. Okay, cool, awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. Never really been into it. Oh, okay. But yeah, like, I mean, I was waking up with the scratches. I had to do something in my house. It was getting so bad. I was waking up with like large claw marks down my chest. It was just getting unbearable. Like, I couldn't sleep at night. There was something watching me in my room with red eyes. Like, there was this demonic face that came up with glowing red eyes. Like, it was too much. And I'm just thankful for whatever reason that thing is gone out of my house now. Yeah, bad spirits. And when we were investigating the house a little bit further, the murder house in Santa Maria, California, we discovered that there had been a body, and not just one. There had been 4 found in the last 7 years. Why is my boom shaking? That's weird. But there have been 7 bodies found or 4 bodies found in like the last 10 years in that house. One of them was when they had just started. They just had moved in 3 months prior, so that was the nearest one. Was they found a skeletal remains underneath the house 3 months prior, so that was pretty crazy and wild. So let's see here. Seems like I lost the chat box on the screen here for whatever reason. There we go. Also watching my... Oh, gotcha. I'm watching Mother Nature as well, HSFL Paranormal, whilst drinking coffee from the cup I brought from your store. Awesome. How's the cups going? They're pretty good quality, aren't they? That's what I've heard from multiple people. They're pretty good quality cups. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Road Trains Tiger. I really do appreciate that. They still moved in the house with that history? No, they didn't know that. They had known about the 2 previous deaths in the house, but when they moved in and did the home inspection, they found the body underneath the house with the bag of poison supposedly near the body that had relation to the cause of death of that person. So yeah, there was some pretty evil stuff in that house. And like, you just get an awful vibe just going anywhere near that place. Plus, it's in a really bad part of town. Trying to think of some other scary stories. I was in North Carolina in 2016, just prior to Hurricane... What was that one? Matthew, yes. Hurricane Matthew. I was living in southeastern North Carolina at the time. I was married and I was working as an HVAC technician in Wilmington, North Carolina. And I got called to this job. And since 2013, I've had this higher sense of like paranormal stuff. I wouldn't call it a gift because it's not. It's really rough sometimes. I wish I didn't have it because like it freaks me out at times. But like I go into this house, like there's like a basement area, and I will start going in to investigate what was going on with their HVAC, and all of a sudden I could hear growling from that basement. And this whole town is built on like war, and like it was famous for like the yellow fever. Oh, all the coffee cups were good quality until you drop them and then they break. Yeah, that's true. Oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. That's rough. What was your question, Jennifer? Was that rude? LOL. Just wondering what he does to support his passion. I work as a night shift manager at a hotel, and that's actually what job I just came back from. No, it's not rude at all. And then I run a little photography business on the side. I always have multiple sources of income, just to keep myself afloat and pay off my debt and stuff, and kind of have fun here on YouTube. Yes, my day job is actually it's not really a day job, but my regular job is working as a night shift manager at a hotel. I hurt my back, and that's why I can't do HVAC anymore. I'm an HVAC technician by trade. Gives Nightbot a can of oil and tickles him under the chin. Yeah, I am trying. I try to stay busy, I guess is the word I'm trying to get out of my mouth. But I try to stay busy with a lot of different stuff. I don't like having an idle mind because it makes me feel crazy, and I guess that's part of my like workaholic OCD kind of thing about me. And like I just try to keep busy. You are one smart man, John. No, I mean, I'm doing things everybody can do. He does such a great job, a good job. Oh, thank you so much. I just try to stay busy and keep myself from having like free time. Like I like to keep doing stuff. You know what I mean? I like to interact with people. I like to have fun. I like to go on some crazy adventures. But right now I don't have a car, so that kind of limits me on where I can go. Once I get a car, hopefully at the end of the year, I will be able to go exploring more and more. Good news is I did get weekends off now, so I will be working with Joe on more projects coming up here on Presence of the Unknown, which is going to be awesome. Guys, we are an hour into this. If you guys haven't tweeted this out and shared this out on Facebook, please help me out and do that. That would be awesome. Hopefully. You used to work at a hotel office. I used to hang out with a few cops that came in on my shift. Oh, cool! That's awesome. Yeah, I don't really have anybody that really hangs out with me. Sometimes my boss does. She lives kind of halfway in between this location and the other hotel that she manages. So often we will hang out together for a little bit and kind of shoot the shit for a while. Just cussed again. See, I need to stop working. Start working on that. I feel bad now because I'm trying to really act professional on my channel. I'm trying to do like a whole like new lead on my channel, so I don't have to age restrict my channel as much, I guess is the way to say it. Guys, thank you so much for the 30 thumbs up, 31 thumbs up. I do appreciate that, guys. Seriously, thank you. Um, hey, Dion Lionheart, how are you, my friend? I hope you're doing well tonight. Um, yeah, so like the North Carolina location, like, was a scene of a lot of negative history. If you guys have ever been to the South, it is riddled with war, and I mean, there was two wars actually I went through Wilmington. There was part of the Revolutionary War was just north of Wilmington, a big battleground called the Battle at Moores Creek Bridge, and that's in Pender County, North Carolina. Don't worry, I swear all the time. Police station was behind the hotel and made third shift a bit smoother. Oh, I'm sure. You can't help yourself from... Yeah, I can't help myself. Hey, Mary Love, how are you? I hope you're doing well tonight. Are you new to the channel, Mary? Trying to remember if I've seen you in the chat before. Well, welcome, my friend. I hope you're doing well tonight. But Wilmington was famous for all the crazy stuff that happened in history. The Revolutionary War, the Civil War. You had the yellow fever outbreak during the war, and some pretty crazy stuff went on. And hey, M and Kids Life Videos, how are you doing? Good to see you. Wow, 24 people watching right now. Thank you guys. 23. Was here last week. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, welcome, my friend. I hope you're doing well tonight. Thank you so much for stopping by again. I will get back to the other stories as well. The ones that are pre-scripted, like the scary ghost stories for around the fire kind of ones, but I just wanted to share some of my personal experiences. There was some pretty crazy stuff that happened in North Carolina. There was like the Oak Creek Cemetery, I called it the 15th Street because it was on 15th Street. The 15th Street Cemetery was the first time I ever came in contact with a demonic presence, like a real demonic presence. It was actually the remainder of the energy from the sadistic slave owner who had been buried in there. So that was pretty nuts. Irish Whiskey Paranormal. Hey, how's it going, man? How are you tonight? Hey, welcome back, Kim Fitzgerald. Yeah, so that was pretty wild. And, yes, I hope everybody's doing well as well. Shot Girl 2114, I hope you're doing good tonight. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. And, that was the first time I ever saw the Hounds of Hell. Actually, the first and last time I've ever seen them. And we saw these dog-like figures that had no fur, glowing red eyes, were reddish in color. We couldn't explain them. We didn't see them naked eye. We saw them on our night vision cameras. And I was actually working with another ghost hunting team in North Carolina at the time, just to have fun and do some photography. And I was actually their Uber driver, and that's how I met them. They kind of invited me to join because I had a really nice camera. And it was a lot of fun, but that was scary. And they were guarding his gate to his monument, and that's the first time we heard like bad words on a spirit box. That's like, it was a nutty investigation, like, let's just put it that way. It ran a chill down my spine, and not often does it do that anymore in the paranormal field. I've seen so much stuff happen. I've always believed in the paranormal, even before my near-death experience. Holy cow, there's a lot of people here. Did I miss somebody? Carla Rock? Hey, meet me at midnight. Hey, hello. Nice stream. Are you new to this channel? Meet me at midnight? If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. That time I left the cemetery because I was kind of freaked out. Yes, it kind of gave me a chill. Hey, Pokey, how you doing? It's good to see you. How goes it? Yeah, it was a pretty scary situation. Well, welcome, Pokey. So good to see you. Guys, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. It will light your name up here on the banner right in front. Hey, Jelly Duck, how are you? Good to see you. And it will move the counter too. It's currently at 1565 is the number on the live counter. If you are new to the channel and you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so and supporting my channel, and that number will go up and your name will be shown. And let's see. So yeah, I'm gonna get back to the real stories because I have a hard time like trying to remember all this stuff. Some of it was years ago, some of it was recent memory. I need to more write these down so I have more of something guide to go off. If I'm just freehanding it, I'm a little disorganized and it kind of like makes me sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. I kind of try to like have all this stuff written down, and I probably will be like trying to publish something more in written form, if that makes sense. Trying to actually put this story together where it sounds really good for this show, because it is a good story. Yeah, I would love to team up with why not just make creepypasta stories? Yeah, I know, totally should. Yeah, I would love to team up with Lou Rock eventually when I save up the money and have time. I would love to fly out to Massachusetts to visit Lou and get to know him and go do the adventures with Lou. That would be super cool. I've always wanted to go to Massachusetts because of the history up there. I'm more into the history than any of it, really. I love going to locations. I love doing the haunted stuff because it does have so much history involved. And not many people look at it from that perspective. I'm sure some do, but I look into the history of every location down to like as old as it can possibly get. I just get addicted to the history of every location. Um, oh, you're Hi Skippy. Okay, gotcha. This is your Nightbot. Oh, okay, that's cool. Awesome. All right, so I do want to get back to some of the creepy stories. Thank you guys so much for sharing so much love and support. I'm going to grab the current stats for this live stream. Let me pull up the analysis. We were just short of 80 views on the first bit of this live stream, so that's super cool. We're at 108 views so far on the stream, so thank you guys so much. That is really awesome of you. I do appreciate all of your guys' support. Let's see here. Getting back here. This is the only way I'm actually able to see the chat in real time, is have the live chat on my phone, and it looks like something like this. So I got that showing live with all of your guys' chat, and so I can see that better. Alright, so let me get back to the scary stories. Alright. Ooh, this one sounds kind of creepy. It's called, hopefully it's not super long. Ooh, this is a short story. Cool. It's called The Screwdriver Story. When I was a little girl, my father's job meant that our family had to move around a lot. I don't remember most of the small towns we lived in since we were only there for a few weeks. But one small town was burned into my memory forever. My parents rented an old dilapidated house for a few months. The house was in a bad state of repair, and the bedroom had running water. Unfortunately, the bathroom was on the top floor of the house, right next to the attic. I always hated the bedroom. It gave me the creeps. There was a little door in the wall with a bathroom that gave us access to the attic. The room was always freezing cold, even in the middle of summer. Oh, gotcha, yeah. One night, I was taking a bath before bedtime. I happened to glance at the little door in the wall of the bathroom. The door had always been locked. There was no key. So we had never gone into the attic. Curiosity got to the better of me. I decided to investigate. I stepped into the bath and looked through the keyhole. I couldn't see anything. It was pitch black. I put my ear to the door and listened, and I could hear a faint scratching sound. But when I put my eye to the keyhole again, I saw something moving in the darkness. I jumped to my surprise, and the next moment, a sharp end of a screwdriver poked through the keyhole, thrusting back and forth, stabbing through thin air as if it was in a frenzy. Lagging again. Shit. Okay, let me know when it stops lagging. Okay, I think I'm back to normal. I almost poked my eye out. I screamed in horror and ran out of the bathroom, stark naked and dripping wet. I went downstairs and cried for my parents. "Mom, Dad, quick, come in. Someone's in the attic," I yelled. "Oh, bye, Fee. Have a good night. Take care." My parents calmed me down and told me what was happening. They didn't believe me. Just to make sure, my dad decided to check out the attic. He grabbed a hammer and a flashlight and bounced up the stairs and followed closely by myself and my mother. The little door in the bathroom was locked. There was no key. So my father pried the hinges off the door using his hammer and shone his flashlight and showed that the attic was completely empty. My parents dismissed it as childhood imagination. And a few weeks later, we left the house and went to a different small town. Still, I can never forget the horrifying incident that happened in that old house. It was a long time before I felt safe taking a bath by myself. Years later, I was in the area and decided to visit the old house, and I spent a brief part of my childhood in. I reconnected with an old friend on Facebook, and I had known him since a child and arranged to meet him again. We went for a walk around the town and shared some of the memories of that old place. When we were passing by the old house, I told him that we had been living there with my parents for a few months. "Yeah, the screwdriver house," he chuckled. My blood had run cold. I had never told anybody about what had happened to me in that bathroom all those years ago. "Why do you call it that?" I stammered. "That's what everybody calls it," he replied casually. "Didn't you hear the stories?" "No, tell me," I said in a weak voice. My stomach had felt like it was tied in knots. Shortly after it was built, a family had moved in, a husband and wife and their 4 children, he said. His wife died, and I guess you could say they went a little bit screwy. Nobody knows why, but the man murdered all 4 of his daughters with a screwdriver and stacked their corpses in the attic. End of story. I hope everybody liked that one. That one was pretty solid. pay attention to the chat. Let's see here. Guys, thank you for the 36 thumbs up. I really do appreciate it, my friends. All right. No problem. All right. This one's called the Budget Hotel. These are usually... Yeah, the budget hotels are pretty scary. I'm not gonna lie. 8 years ago, I worked for a security company in Japan. It was a small company, and it was a busy time of year. Few of us had attended a business conference in a neighboring city. It was my job to book some of the hotel rooms so we could stay there for a night. I appreciate that, Panther Zone Studio. Thank you so much. I'm glad you love me or love my channel. Thank you. More than a month before the conference, I booked online for four single rooms in a budget hotel. A group consisted of myself, my colleague Shishini, and our manager of the company. Our manager of and owner of the company. Dang it, I'm lagging again. Let me know when it's back. Always happens when I run this software and try to read this stuff at the same time. Okay, I think it's back to normal, right? Okay. Looks like the banner's running normally. Showing on my computer that everything's running normally. Yeah, I know, there's a lag. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. It was running fine, and then it started having issues. Yeah, it's froze on my end too, guys. Oh, I don't know what's going on here. It's showing on my end that everything's working correctly. I don't know what's going on. Can you guys still hear me at least? Hold on just a second. No, I know it's lagged out for real. I don't know what's going on. It might shut itself off and on again. Too many things running at the same time. Quit. Hopefully it starts going back to normal here. I'm just trying to make sure everything's closed down. I think I know what was going on that it was having issues with, so hopefully this fixes that problem. Can hear you just fine. Okay. I don't know what's going on. This is really getting me anxiety here. Just trying to make sure everything that shouldn't be opened is closed so I can try to run this back to normal here. It should be at a normal point now. Okay, no problem. I will talk to you tomorrow. Okay, no problem. Hey, look, I'm back. Cool. Yeah, I think I got it now. Let me know if I'm still having lag issues. I'm trying to take care of things the best way I can. Uh, just let me know in the comments. I'm trying to reduce the CPU, and I think I found out what it was. I think I got everything back to normal here, so just let me know if I have issues again. Okay, I think I know what it was. I think I had Manicam open at the same time and it was running slow, so I apologize about that. So let me just try to refresh this real quick. Okay. Okay, so 8 years ago, I worked for a security company in Japan. It was a small company, it was a busy time of year. A few of us had attended a business conference and local in the neighboring city. It was my job to book some hotel rooms so we could stay there for a night. More than a month before the conference, I booked 4 single rooms for a budget hotel consisting of myself and my colleague Shishini, who was our manager and owner of the company. The day before the conference took place, I called the hotel to confirm the reservation, and I got an unpleasant surprise. While they checked the reservations, the hotel staff realized that they had made a huge mistake and double booked the rooms. They had only reserved 2 single rooms for us. I was furious and complained angrily, but the staff told me they had no other rooms available. I demanded to speak to the manager, and eventually he told me that there was a twin bed he could give us at the same price as a single. I wasn't too happy about it, but it was better than nothing. Alright. The next day, we attend the conference. And when we arrived at the hotel, it was a little bit after 1 a.m. We had collected our keys at the front desk, and since we were very tired, we had collected our keys at the front desk since we were tired. The 4 of us went straight to our rooms. Of course, the owner of the company and the manager got the single room, so Shishini and I were forced to share the twin room. Our room was located at the top floor at the rear of the hotel. When I opened the door and stepped into the room, I felt a strange, eerie feeling. I can't quite explain it, but somehow the room had a very unpleasant feel. It was decorated in Japanese style, but unusually dirty. I was still tired, so I went into the room and dropped my suitcase on the floor. I didn't see my colleague, Shishini. I could see my colleague Shishini wasn't happy. Hey, Tara Eckley. Well, at least that worked. Cool. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I really do appreciate that. I hope you like the name shout out there at the top. Welcome to the stream, my friend. I was still very tired. I went into the room and dropped my suitcase on the floor. I could see that my colleague Shishini wasn't happy, and I tried to reassure him that it probably wasn't as bad as it looked. There was 2 futons on the floor. They looked quite new, but everything was filthy and covered with dust. The curtains were torn and ragged. The wallpaper was peeling off the walls, and the patches of damp mold were everywhere. It was really disgusting, and the room looked like it hadn't been used in years. There were 2 shonji screens, 6-foot tall Japanese fold-out screens for dressing. So we went behind them and changed our clothes. I happened to look down at the floor and saw a red stain on the carpet if somebody had spilled something there that nobody had bothered to clean up. I decided to complain to the hotel manager about it the next day. Complain about it the next day. there. At the moment, all of us wanted to do was take a quick bath and go to sleep. However, we went into the bathroom. There was a terrible stench that made me cover my nose. It was dank and musty, and the bathtub was covered in brown stains. Two of us gave up the idea of taking a bath, so we just laid down on the futons and tried to get some sleep. My futon was facing towards the bedroom, and Shishini's futon was facing towards the window. In the middle of the night, I suddenly woke up. I blinked my eyes, looked around. In the dim light, I noticed that the bedroom door was open. It had been closed had been closed before to keep out the smell, but now it was open. When I glanced down, I saw there was something on the floor was moving. It was so dark I couldn't make out what it was. There was two dark shapes scratching at the carpet. "What now?" I groaned. "Rats?" Suddenly, my eyes adjusted to the darkness. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was the head of a woman with long, stringy black hair. It had been what I had thought had been rats were actually a woman's hands. She was on all fours, gnarled and clutching and scraping the carpet as she has slowly crawled out of the bathroom one by one. Thank you guys for the 16 people who are still watching. I do appreciate your guys' support. Seriously, thank you so much. Sorry, I'm grabbing the live chat right here. I could not see her face because her hair was hanging down, covering it. I can't understand what happened. It is as if I was paralyzed and couldn't move, just laying there in horror as this woman slowly crawled towards me, inch by inch, getting closer and closer. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore, and I I let out a strangled scream and stumbled out of bed. I turned out the lights, and the woman disappeared. I was shaking and sweating. Sweat was pouring down my forehead. Shishini whispered, Do you see her, the woman? She's crawling across the floor." I reached out to Shishini, but he was already awake. I reached over and I could see his eyes were wide with fear. Been waiting for this. Yeah. I'm so glad that you finally were able to come. I'm so glad that you were able to come, Terraco. I reached out to shake Shishini, but he was already awake. I turned over to see his eyes wide with fear. "I saw her too," he said with a trembling voice. For about past half hour, she's been peering in and out of the window, watching me. The two of us scrambled to our feet, grabbed our bags, and ran out of the room. We spent the night in the manager's room and told him what we had seen. The next morning, we went to the reception desk to complain. I told the manager that we would never stay in the hotel again, and we warned anybody who knew. Okay, let me know if it freezes up and comes back. I think it's an issue with YouTube. Yeah. It's every time I try to read these stories, I've been having issues. So, I do apologize about that, guys. I think it might be either the internet should not be affecting it this bad, so I don't know what's going on. It's just weird. I think all the colors, I've tried to minimize the colors that I put out on this stream, and I think having these two new banners. Tara Eckel, maybe it's my bad juju. No, it's not your bad juju. It's not you at all. Thank you so much, Tara Eckel, for subscribing to my channel. I hope you're having a good night so far tonight. Thank you. Let's see here. Alright. Guys, we are only 2 away from 40 likes. If you haven't already, make sure you smash that like button, fam. Alright. Ooh. Okay, this one's called the Steel Bathtub. Sounds kind of creepy to me, so I hope it's creepy for you. We got 20 people in the house. I don't know, it really just, this software does not like when I multitask, so I do apologize if I go in and out. It's not my fault, it's the computer trying to run at its optimal abilities. The Steel Bathtub. A few years ago, I moved into a new apartment. The rent was cheap, and it was close to my workplace. It was a real small one-bedroom apartment with a kitchen and a bathroom. The next best thing, it was that instead of a shower, there was a beautiful steel bathtub. One night, I was sitting in a bathtub washing my hair. My vision was blurred by the shampoo, but out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of something strange. On the rim of the bathtub, I saw two white hands. I quickly splashed water over my face, but when I opened my eyes and looked around, the hands were nowhere to be seen. I broke my button. Hey, Jason Smith, how you doing? Hope you're doing well tonight, my friend. Are you new to this channel? If so, welcome, my friend. Alright, let's see here. I was trying to convince myself that it was an optical illusion. A few days later, I was sitting in the bathtub again. I was looking for the soap when I happened to glance at something behind me. I saw them, two white hands clinging to the edge of the bathtub. When I looked again for a split second, the hands were gone. I sent a chill down my spine. I was sure that the pale hands I had seen were those of a child. Not long after that, I had the day off from work and I decided to organize my bedroom. I needed somewhere to put my suitcase and I opened the drawer at the top of my cabinet. When I pulled down the cupboard, I had been laid on the bottom. When I pulled out the cardboard that had been laid on the bottom of the drawer, something fell out and landed on the floor. It was a photo of a young boy who appeared to be kindergarten aged. I looked at the pale hands in the picture and it looked eerily similar. Hey, I believe in ghosts is in the house. How are you doing, my friend? I hope you're doing well tonight. It gave me the creeps. I threw it into the garbage can along with the other trash. That night, I was laying in bed watching TV. I heard the noise in the bedroom. I got up and took a look and found that the steel bathtub rim was filled with cold water. I bent down to pull out the plug and I noticed something in the reflection of the water. It was a reflection of somebody staring at me, a woman with long hair. Oh, Jason's been here before? Oh, I'm so sorry, man. I was just wondering. I didn't notice you before, maybe. I'm sorry, but you're always welcome here, my friend. I hope you're having a good night so far. Okay, no problem. All of a sudden, something grabbed a hold of me, and pushed my head into the cold water. But I was too strong. It was too strong. I struggled to escape from that icy grip, but it wouldn't let me go. I couldn't breathe and my lungs felt like they were about to burst. I was terrified I was going to drown. Flying in a panic, I kicked my legs, but there was nothing behind me to kick. I twisted my body and thrusted my hands out, trying as hard as I could to lift myself out of the tub. Yeah. Trying as hard, with all my strength, I managed to pull my head out of the water, gasping for breath. I spun around and nobody was there. The bedroom door closed. I could hear the handle open. I turned the handle to open it when I felt something touch my leg. I looked down and saw a small white hand grabbing my ankle. I let out a scream and ran out of the bedroom. The apartment was completely empty. I rushed out the door and went out to stay with a friend for the night. I was plagued by questions. Who lived there before you moved in? What was in there? What happened there? When I asked the landlord, he wouldn't talk about it. I decided to move out and find another place to live. When I went back to the apartment to collect my stuff, I found my suitcase laying on the floor. It was already fully packed. Holy cow. Yeah, you couldn't move. No, that, I don't know. Some of these do seem like true stories. These ones are not labeled which ones are true and which ones are not true. But that one was pretty scary, guys. Whew. Enough to give you chills down your spine, huh? Guys, we are 1 like away from 40 likes on this video. Please consider liking and smashing that like button if you haven't already. That does help support the channel. When I was 12 years old, my parents were divorced. Oh, this story is called The Dark Shadow. It's 5 minutes. When I was 12 years old, my parents were divorced, and I went to live with my mother. We moved into an old Victorian house, with which my mother had rented temporarily until we found something better. Yeah, it was a sweet story. The first couple of days we moved in, nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but at night I had trouble sleeping. When I did manage to fall asleep, I could hear a terrifying and disturbing nightmare. I had terrifying and disturbing nightmares. I would always wake up in a cold sweat, but I could never remember what the dreams were about. I started feeling a little paranoid. Sometimes I could catch glimpses. Sorry, try not to yawn. Glimpses of dark shadows moving out of the corner of my eye. I shrugged it off as being a dim hue to my overactive imagination. JEPDU Jara Paranormal Investigation. How you doing? Good to see you. How you doing tonight? Let me see here. Thank you guys for the 40 thumbs up. That is awesome. Let's see. I started to feel a bit paranoid. I saw glimpses of shadows moving out of the eye. Okay. One day, let's see. One day, my mother and I were cleaning out the attic. Trying really not to yawn here. I'll see you later. I'm out. Okay, no problem, road trains. Have a good night, my friend. One night, my mother and I were cleaning out the attic. I came across something very strange tucked away in a corner. I discovered a Ouija board, some candles, and a small book with gothic lettering inside. I could see where this is gonna go. When I showed them to my mom, her face went pale. She immediately gathered them all up and looked at them and threw them out in the trash. I asked her what they were. She refused to talk about it. Yes, you do speak French. I actually did reply to one of your videos, and I used Google Translate to transfer the message back and forth in French. I also have a boss. My boss is actually from France, and she helped translate for me what you had said in my message, and it really helped, and I really do appreciate your really nice message that you sent to me in one of your videos. So thank you so much for that. The next day she went shopping and came back. She had a present for me. It was a necklace with a pendant shaped like a gold cross. She had brought out matching necklaces for herself. Sorry. Golly. It's not like I'm super tired. Like, this is not out of the ordinary for me to stay up until 1 o'clock in the morning here. At the time, I wasn't very religious, but I wore it just to please her. I had a friend named Madeline, and we decided to have a sleepover at my house. My mother was going to visit her relatives, so we would be on our own for the night. I wasn't worried because Madeline was rarely afraid of anything. She always made me feel safe. Yes, bonjour. I had a friend named... Oh, wait, sorry. We watched some movies, and shortly before midnight, we decided to go to bed. The two of us lay in bed chatting for a while, and then eventually fell asleep. In the middle of the night, we woke to a strange sound. It was like a low, growling noise, like... I woke up Madeline, and she had said she heard it too. Gradually, it grew louder and louder, like the humming of an evil presence. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. If you're yawning, I'm sorry. It is contagious, though. Wondering where it was, I slid out of bed, opened up the door, and peered out. What we saw was a dark shadow moving up the stairs. Everything about it was just pure black. It was blended with some other shadows, but it was much darker. My first instinct was to run, but I couldn't move. Fear had rooted me in that spot. My friends... Awesome. Thank you so much, GEPDU Jura Paranormal Investigation. A dark shadow was slowly moving up the stairs. Everything about it... Oh, okay. And when we reached the top of the stairs, the dark mass just stood there with its head bowed and our shoulders slumped. Holy cow. Its whole silhouette seemed fuzzy and indistinct around the edges. Oh, that's so awesome, my friend. I do appreciate it. Somebody just sent me a message on Facebook with a picture going, what the heck? I think your stream might be a little busy. Let's see here. Sorry, I was just responding to yeah. It had no face to look at, just a heavy black outline of something that looked vaguely human. Suddenly, it turned to face us, and we saw deep red eyes staring at me, as if it was staring right through us. It had something like a mouth. It seemed to smile with a malicious grin. It looked at Madeline, and she looked at me. I will never forget the terror I saw on her face. I felt my body tighten up in fear, but I could not move my hand to the doorknob. The dark shadow kept luring at us as it approached. I saw it reach out with one of its hands, and I screamed, and I suddenly couldn't move again. As it came closer, I felt like I was being choked, and then I remember my eyes closing like I was fainting, and I reached up to pull my collar aside, exposing the gold cross around my neck. The shadow seemed to stop in its tracks. Madeline suddenly grabbed me and pulled me back and slammed the door. We piled up the furniture against the door and waited. All we could hear was an eerie silence. My channel will change its name. We'll call it Ghost Spirit TV. Oh, cool. Hey, Susie's channel. How are you? Welcome. So glad you could join us. A shadow stopped in its track. Okay. I was shaking so hard that Madeline actually had told me to calm down. We were so freaked out that we just sat there behind a pile of furniture and held my gold cross for dear life. We stayed awake all night, too terrified to close our eyes. As the morning light began to shine through the window, my nerves were shot. I was so exhausted I eventually passed out. I woke a few hours later to my mother coming home. We opened the door and looked into the hallway. There was nothing there, but we could see what seemed like a vague dusty footprints where the mass had been. I told my mother what had happened, and the next day we moved out. Stayed in a motel until we could find another house. I am 18 now, and I still think about this incident all the time. I know that it was a demon that we saw that night. It was too dark, and it felt too evil to be anything else. I hope everybody liked that story. Hey, Cardiac Tap fam, how are you? Yes, good evening or good morning, everybody, or good afternoon to people. I guess it's still morning in the UK. Good morning, everybody. Okay, peeps time for me. Time to go. Talk to you later, John. All right, take care. Have a good night. I will be on for about another hour, I believe. Yes, another hour. Thank you guys for all your guys' love and support. I do appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for joining on tonight. Guys, please make sure you smash that like button if you haven't already. I do appreciate all the love and kindness. Been listening for a long time. Oh, cool. Awesome. I do appreciate it. All right. So that one was there. The crutches. This one's a short story. Cool. The creepiest thing. I was about 10 years old, and I was asleep in my bed, which was upstairs across the hallway. When I had woke up in the middle of the night with noises downstairs. The house was quite big and based on the layout of the house. I would have been the only one able to hear it, but the other bedrooms were in the newer part of the house. The noises sounded like someone on crutches walking around. It was on wooden floors in the house. It was all wooden floors in the house at that time. You can't mistake the sound of the crutches. It sounded like the loud sound of them clanking around the hallway at the bottom of the stairs. I was so scared. I knew nobody was awake at that time in the house. But it got worse. All of a sudden, the crutches just flew up the stairs, and I could hear them on each individual footstep. But the speed of them was just not possible. It was 2 seconds from downstairs to upstairs and then across the hallway. It wasn't even attempting to be quiet. It exploded into my room. The door was closed and it never opened, but this thing was in my room besides my bed. Obviously, the noise and the crutches flew up the stairs in my room. I had thrown myself underneath the blankets and was trying not to breathe in fear. I could feel something in my room. It clicked It clicked quite quickly around the opposite side of my room and the inner side. And then there was an eerie silence. I never looked. I never heard, but something was there looking at my bed. Good night, Panther Zone Studio. Hope you have a good night, my friend. Oh, no problem, GEP. I have no idea how long it's... I have no idea how long it went on for. But as quickly as it came, it flew back around my bed and through the door and back down the stairs, and silence remained in the house. I never heard it again. That's a pretty crazy story. Ugh. Crutches? Yikes. Let's see. Okay, I'll let you guys vote. We have Turn Out the Lights, The Creepy Old Man, or The Doll Trunk. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys for the 12 people that are still here. I know it's very, very late. I do appreciate all your guys' love and support. Thank you so much for coming on late and listening to the stories. The Creepy Old Man. Okay, we got one vote for Creepy Old Man. Okay. Ooh, okay, so we have 2 to 1. Guys, let me know in the comments. Ooh, so we have a tiebreaker. Hey, Irish whiskey. So we're voting between the stories labeled The Creepy Old Man or The Doll Trunk. Or Turn Out the Lights. Let me know in the comments what you guys want to hear. I want the whole 12 people that are here to try to interact. I got one vote. Okay. Alright, I'll start with The Creepy Old Man then, and then I'll do the other one. Creepy Old Man is a 4-minute read. Yeah, Irish whiskey with the tiebreaker, absolutely. Okay. Oh god, that picture's horrifying. So glad you guys can't see that, because I wouldn't be able to sleep if I kept looking at it. One day my mother took me to visit her friends. The old lady we had been visiting was named Cora. She lived in an old house. She lived in an old house that must have been built back in the 1900s. On the way there, my grandmother had told me that Cora had been born in that house, and that she was there and intended to die there. Her husband, Mike, who had passed away a few years earlier after a long illness, had died in the back room of the house. Cora missed him terribly, but she had recently started dating a new man named Bob, who was the same age as her. When she arrived, Cora was standing in the doorway waiting for us. She kissed me on the cheek. I wrinkled my nose because she smelled like pee. She introduced me to her pet cat. It was a 10-year-old. She named it Mr. Stinky. Oh, great, I thought. The old lady that smelled like her old smelly cat. This should be fun. Inside the place was a dirty, dusty, unkept place. It was unpleasant, but I tried to be polite and kept on smiling. We sat around the kitchen table, and I listened to the old ladies chat about old lady stuff until I thought I couldn't take it anymore. Cora told my grandmother that there was something she wanted to show her in the backyard. She wanted me to come with them, but I told them to go ahead without me. I couldn't stand and listen to their stupid conversation any longer. I glanced at my watch and wondered what time I would be able to go home. When I looked up, there was an old man standing over me. He was staring down my blouse. What a creep! I gave him a disapproving glance, and then I remembered to be polite. "Oh, hello," I said, holding out my hand. "You must be Bob. Pleased to meet you." He didn't reply. Instead, he moved closer to me. I couldn't believe what happened next. He reached down to touch one of my boobs. I cleared my throat loudly and gave him an angry look. He withdrew his hand quickly. Then he was standing over me, just staring at me. Made me very uncomfortable. After a few minutes, he turned around and walked out. Such a weirdo. Then my grandmother, Cora, came back into the room. I was about to tell him what had happened, but I didn't want to cause any issues. So instead, I got up and excused myself and went to the restroom and finished up. I was sitting on the toilet, and when the door suddenly opened, the creepy old man came in. I cringed in horror. When you're sitting on the toilet is one of the most vulnerable situations you can find yourself in. Instead of excusing himself or turning around or walking out like any decent person would do, this old creep got down onto his hands and knees and started crawling towards me. It was so bizarre I felt humiliated. I couldn't imagine what kind of view he was getting from down there. "Get the out of here, you," I hissed angrily. "Get out and stay out." I usually don't swear, but I try to get my point across anyways. He looked shocked at my colorful language and crawled out the door. He was shaking in anger. As soon as I finished what I was doing, I washed my hands and ran out the door. I tried to regain my composure before leaving the bedroom, but it was no use. The old creep had made me steaming mad. I stormed into the bedroom where my grandmother and Cora were sitting. "Where is the creepy old boyfriend of yours?" I thundered. Cora was dumbstruck. "What happened?" asked my grandmother in shock. "Her boyfriend Bob came into the restroom while I was on the toilet, and he got down on his hands and knees and shouted. What a dirty old freak. Wouldn't stop looking at me. Where is he?" Cora's eyes were wide. "Bob's at work," she said. "He won't be home until late tonight." It took me a few moments to sink in, but that means, I screamed, "That was your husband, Mike!" End of story. No, he was dead. No, that guy was a ghost. But yes, that is funny, Irish whiskey. Yeah. Hey, you guys wanted to hear the story. So we got, what was the other one? The doll trunk? Alright. 3-minute read. My doll trunk is a real ghost story about 2 girls. Ooh, so this is a real story, guys. This one's a true story. is about a story of two young girls who had a terrifying experience during a sleepover. That was a pretty funny comment. Nope. So it was a perverted ghost. A few years ago, my aunt and my cousin moved into the house. Yeah, I know it still says 24, guys. I'm sorry about that. Here, let me see if I could change that. It'll go back to normal here. There we go. Here we go. Should go back to normal now. Should show up 12. Yep, there we go. Let's see. A few years ago, my aunt and my cousin Linda moved into the house. They were moving in. The house was was empty except for an old trunk. They had opened it up. They found a load of dolls. Lisa really liked dolls. She decided to keep them. That's not a good idea. After all their furniture was moved into the house, they got settled in. Some weird things started to happen. It seemed like the trunk full of dolls would move around the house at night on its own. One day the trunk would be in Lisa's room, the next it would be up in the attic. At first, they didn't really notice what was happening. Lisa just assumed that her mom had moved it throughout the house, and the mom thought Lisa had moved it. Donnie is the Barbie doll king. One night, Lisa invited me for a sleepover. My aunt went out on a date with her new boyfriend, and we were left home alone. It was around 2 a.m. when we had heard a loud crash. It seemed like it was coming from upstairs. We raced up the stairs to investigate. We found the old trunk sitting in the middle of the hallway. All of a sudden, it was flying right past us and tumbled down the stairs. We were so scared that we ran into the aunt's room and locked the door behind us. We stayed there for an hour. We couldn't hear anything else. We assumed that it was safe to come out. When we opened the door, we saw something that that completely freaked us out. All of the dolls were standing in a line outside of my bedroom door. When we finally calmed down, we decided that somebody must be playing a trick on us. Lisa laid in the bedroom. I went down the stairs to take a look. As I went to the bottom of the stairs, I saw two more dolls across the living room. They were just moving by themselves. I nearly had a heart attack. I ran up the stairs, but when I came up to the hallway, I saw the dolls were completely gone. I went up to my aunt's room and found Lisa sitting on the floor, surrounded by dolls. She was in hysterics. I managed to calm her down. She told me that she was waiting for me to come back. The door suddenly swung open and something started to throw dolls at her. 20 minutes later, Lisa's mom finally came home. We told her what had happened. She believed us. Lisa and I went to sleep. Early the next morning, before we woke up, my aunt took all the dolls into the backyard and burned them. After that, no more weird stuff had happened in that house. Boom, there you go, doll trunk. Woo! That's a real story, guys. That's pretty creepy. Turn out the lights. Yeah. Ooh, here's another one. Turn Out the Lights is a short story, but it's a real ghost story about an older brother who plays a prank on his younger brother with frightening results. Alright, you guys ready? Yeah, that's really creepy. The creepiest part is it's real. Guys, thank you for the 14 people watching. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. One summer evening, my little brother and I were home alone. We decided to play fight, as brothers do, chasing around each other at the house. I ended up chasing him into our parents' bedroom. There were no windows in my parents' room, and the lights were off. It was pitch black. I thought it was funny to play a trick on my brother, so I decided to scare him and turn out the lights. I was standing at the doorway when he wasn't looking. I hit the light switch and I left the room, closing the door behind me. He was left alone in darkness. I put my ear to the door and listened to him panic. I hear him say, "What are you doing?" I realized that I was still in the room. "What are you doing?" he said. "You're freaking me out. Please stop." I wondered what he was talking about. "I'm not joking. Get away from me." Get away from me, I thought. Did he just say get away from me? Haha, I'm not even there, I laughed. All of a sudden I could hear my brother scream, a loud, blood-curdling scream. It freaked me out, so I decided to open the door and let him out. But when I turned on the handle, it would not budge. It was locked. My little brother was screaming and begging for help, so I started to panic. I had no idea what to do. I kept jiggling the handle, pushing the door as hard as I could, but it wouldn't open. My brother was in trouble. He needed me, and I couldn't help. All of a sudden, he stopped screaming, and the door handle... and I tried the door handle again. And to my surprise, it opened easily. It wasn't locked at all. Relieved that the door... I opened the door and turned on the light. I saw my brother cowering in the corner, sobbing uncontrollably. I calmed him down and brought him out of the room. Downstairs, I finally got him to explain what happened. He said when the lights went out, he got scared, and then his eyes slowly adjusted to darkness. He was a bit of light lurking from a crack underneath the door. He saw a figure standing in the corner with his back to him. He thought it was me. When I asked, "What are you doing?" He said I turned and started walking slowly across towards him. I couldn't make out his face. I couldn't make any features out at all. It was just this dark figure walking towards him. He said the figure came closer and closer. It was standing over him, staring down at him. He saw a hand coming towards him and grabbed him by the shoulder. The touch of his hand was freezing cold, and the grip was very strong. It hurt him, and he screamed in pain. When I opened the door, the figure was gone. To this day, my brother refuses to talk about this, but whenever anyone brings it up, he simply leaves the room. He has admitted that he is bothered by the way that it happened. He is bothered by what happened that day, and he still has nightmares from time to time. He doesn't have any explanation for what happened. That's pretty scary. I'm gonna get some water real quick. I feel like dry mouth real quick, so I'm gonna go get some water. I'll be right back. All right. Alrighty. So that was a pretty creepy story, huh, folks? I hope you guys liked that story. That one was pretty good. Thank you for the 14 people in the house. That is really awesome. Alright, this one's called The Three Boys. Another good little short story here. Supposedly also a real ghost story. My parents died in a car crash when I was only 5 years old. After that, I was passed around from another number of foster homes and a number of different foster parents. Something happened to one of those foster homes that still scares me to this day. I remember that this lady had took me in. She was a really nice person, and I didn't see her husband much because he was always at work. I was the only foster care kid there at the time. No, these stories don't scare me compared to what I've been through. One night, I couldn't get to sleep. When I opened my eyes, I saw another child standing in the room. He seemed to have been the same age as me, but he was naked from the waist up and had bruises all over his body. I do not need to keep going for another 2 hours. I mean, if I had like 30 people in here, I might consider it, but I'm getting pretty tired myself. It's going to be 2 o'clock by the time I finish, so about another 40 minutes. Tears were running down his face. I was so tired. Sorry. He was naked from the waist up and had bruises all over his body. Tears running down his face. I was so scared I covered my head with blankets. I was just too much of a coward. There for the rest of the I just cowered there for the rest of the night, praying for the morning to come. No, I do not often scare myself, but there's been some moments. The next time it happened, there was 2 boys. The second boy looked worse than the first. His face was all battered and bloody. One of his eyes was hanging out of his head. It was horrible. The third time was the worst. I saw 3 boys standing there. The third boy had his throat cut. Blood was pouring down the side of his wound and dripping down onto his chest. It seemed like somebody had hacked it with a knife. It scared me so much I could not sleep. I don't remember much, but I was told during that day I would sit down in the room and rock back and forth holding my chest, just staring at the entrance to the storage space. After a while, I moved into a different foster home. I never saw anything like that ever again. Recently, I tracked down the woman who owned the foster home, and I found out what had happened. It terrified me. Apparently, the orphan boys who had went through that home, 3 of them disappeared. The wife didn't know what happened to them. She just thought they ran away. One day, many years later, she had received something of a small built-in storage space in the room that had been my bedroom. She had been poking around and found something in the loose floorboards. Out of curiosity, she pulled up one of the floorboards and she saw what was underneath. She got a fright of her life. It was the body of a young boy. Of course, she called the police immediately. Her husband was at work at the time. The police ripped up the floorboards and all 3 bodies had been found. They were all young boys. The bodies had been removed and taken to the mortuary for an autopsy. The husband arrived at home from work and found out what happened. She said she started acting really weird. The next day, the police came back and arrested the husband and the wife. They released the woman, but the husband was prosecuted for murdering the 3 boys. He was convicted and judged him to life in prison. How was that for a story, guys? That was pretty good. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Tara. Wow, I didn't know that. Yes, scary but fun. I agree. Yeah. Cardiac, that one was good. Hey, Fee, it's good to see you. Thank you so much, Cynthia. Oof, that was a good story. Alright, this one is called The Accountant. Doesn't say if this one's real or not. Oof, this one's based out of Sweden. Alright. There's a small island just off the coast of Sweden called Norrby Norboisker. There are a lot of scary stories from this place, but the most famous is about the accountant of the school, and this is a true story. Oh, okay, cool. There was a sawmill. How long is this story? 2-minute read. Okay, it's a very short story. There was a sawmill on the island between 1900 and 1952. And the company where the accountant lived with his family on the top of the floor of the school building. One day, the accountant did not know when to show up did not show up for work, and people went to his home to see what was wrong. They found him dangling at the end of a rope at the top of the stairwell. He had taken his own life. Everyone was puzzled by his suicide, and they were baffled by why they couldn't find his wife and daughter. A week later, the accountant's family was still missing. One man had helped build the home, went and looked around. The first thing he noticed that somebody had built a new brick wall besides the stove inside of the house. It wasn't there when the house was built. Huh. They tore down the brick wall and found the dead body of the accountant's wife and daughter behind it. The surrounding bricks were covered in scratch marks, and fingernails were broken when they tried to claw out. The accountant stole money from the company, and when his wife found out, he bricked her up and his daughter behind the wall and then hung himself in the staircase. Today, the house is still empty and the wallpaper is peeling off the walls. It is believed to be haunted, and if anyone goes there, gets an eerie feeling when they go to the top floor. That sounds like a really cool place to investigate. But sounds horrifying, actually. I bet there's like a lot of sad energy there. Wow, there's still 14 people in the house? Jesus. Y'all are troopers. Love you guys. Alright. Yeah, that one was free. Okay. This one's called The Front Porch. The Front Porch is a real story from Australia, so this is for my Australian fans. It is about a woman who sees a charred, burnt figure lurking outside of her door at night. My name is Max. A friend of mine name is Max. He told me about a frightening experience of his mother had years ago. It makes my blood run cold every time I think about it. They lived in a house on an isolated property in Australia. It had been once a farm, and their nearest neighbor was a few miles away. One night, his mother could not sleep. She got out of bed and went down to the living room. She switched on the TV and curled up on the couch, hoping that would help her fall asleep. There was no other lights in the house, just the glow from the TV. All of a sudden, out of the corner of her eye, the mother noticed something move quickly off the front of their porch. She got up and turned out the lights and looked out the window, and she couldn't see anything. She left the lights on and sat back down on the couch and continued watching TV. After a couple of minutes, she saw it again. This time, she didn't get up. She just stayed in the seat and stared out the window. She looked at the steps that led to the front porch, and she saw a blackened shape peering at her. It looked like a man's head and shoulders, but if it had been charred and burned. The shape was sitting at the bottom of the step, staring at her. She could not see the rest of it, just the upper torso. She realized that it wasn't a person. She realized that it was a person. She should have been able to see the rest of the body, but the steps weren't that big. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it had gone. Shaken by what she had seen and doubting her own eyes, she got up and walked to bed. She woke up the next morning. Her her husband, or she told her husband what she had witnessed. As he listened, he went very quiet and his face turned pale. When she asked him what was wrong, he had told her a couple years ago, before they moved into their house, that it had been owned by a farmer. When the man was driving his tractor out on the scrubland around the house, it had overturned. The trailer rolled over the man, and he was crushed beneath it. The man's body was cut in half, and the tractor burst into flames. By the time anyone had realized what had happened, his body had been burned to a crisp. That's why she had only seen his upper torso of the burnt body, charred figure at that night. The man had been chopped in half and burned alive. Only half of him was sitting on the step. He was using his hands to run across the front porch that night. They have moved not long after she had saw that. Hey, thank you so much, Jason. Have a good night, brother. Take care. Hope you have a good night, my friend. Alrighty. That was a good story. Ooh. If I saw that, I would have moved too. Oh, no thank you. This one is called Sammy. I like these short stories. This whole little short story segment has given me a full episode, so I'm pretty happy about that. Sammy is about a story of a girl who had a reoccurring dream. This is supposed to be a real story told by a person from Time magazine, Kelly Link. The ghost story she told them will give you chills. I've always liked ghost stories, like writers like M.R. James. Good night, Cardiac Tap fam. I hope you have a great rest of your night. Take care. Hopefully you don't get nightmares. I'm sorry. Oh, am I lagging again? Okay, looks like I'm going good. Okay. I've always loved ghost stories. Writers like M.R. James, L.P. Hartley, Joan Atkin, and Stephen King, and Joan Hill. But the scariest stories I've ever heard are true stories. There was 8 or 9 of us in a restaurant in Raleigh, North Carolina. I've been there, yay. Finally a North Carolina story. And we were telling ghost stories. A friend of us said, when I was a girl living in Texas, I had a reoccurring dream. In this dream, I was walking down the street in my hometown. A man would walk towards me. Sometimes he was older, sometimes he was younger. He didn't always have the same face, but I always knew it was the same man. He would get closer and closer, and I would know that something bad was going to happen. I would wake up each time before he reached me. I would be terrified. One night, in my dream, I finally came face to face with him, and I spoke to him, and I said, "What's your name?" And he said, "My name is Sammy." Then I woke up, and I was so terrified I could not go back to sleep. I went into my sister's room and said, "Can I go to bed with you?" I had just had a really bad dream. My sister said, "Was it Sammy?" I said, "What did you say? How do you know Sammy?" My sister said, "I don't. But you just brought him into the room with you." I turned on the lights and I saw my sister asleep. The end. Oh my god. Okay, so that one did give me chills. Ooh. That one gave me chills. Let me know in the comments what you thought about that one, guys. That one was pretty brutal. Whew. Yay. Yeah, that one was creepy. This one's called The Squiggle. The Squiggle is about a real ghost story of a boy who sees a shadow man one night while he's laying in bed. Supposedly it's a true story. When I was young, my parents lived in a house that had been built in the 1920s. One evening, my parents had gone out, and I was alone in the house. I was laying in bed trying to go to sleep. I'm gonna have to sleep with the night on tonight. From now on. Yeah, seriously. No kidding. That one gave me chills, and I don't often get scared by these stories. When I was young, my parents lived in a house that was built in the 1920s. One night, my parents had gone out, and I was alone in the house. I was laying in bed, trying to go to sleep, and my bedroom door was open from my bed. All I could see was down the hall to the front door. I rolled over to get comfortable, and out of the corner of my eye, I noticed something at the end of the hallway. After all these years later, it still gives me the goosebumps thinking about it. It was a black, shadowy figure, and it was vague and very indecent. It was in the shape of a man, but it looked like black squiggles. Like somebody had scribbled in a human shape on a piece of paper, but the squiggles were moving like static or like electricity or animation is the best way I could describe it. There was no sound, just an eerie silence. Oh, okay. Gotcha, Cynthia. The squiggle man noticed me looking at him. He reached out and began beckoning towards me. I was so scared I couldn't move. I couldn't even scream. All of a sudden, it came rushing down the hall towards me. I was just frozen and petrified with fear. As soon as it reached the doorway to my bedroom, the door suddenly slammed shut, loud with a bang. I screamed and yelled for my parents, but I went home, and one of the few moments in my life I was scared out of my mind and I couldn't comprehend what I had seen. I opened the door and I scrambled outside. I didn't get back into the house until my parents got home an hour later. I don't believe in ghosts then, and I don't know if I believe in them now, but I know I saw something. I don't know what that something was. Yeah, seriously, Cynthia, I don't know if I'm going to be able to sleep without a light tonight. I'll tell you what. Well, my house is already haunted, so I already have sleep issues as it is. Alright, this one's called The Sad Clown. Hope you guys like sleeping, because it's not going to happen tonight. Just playing. I really don't like clowns, but I'll just do this. Okay, a few days ago I had a really strange dream. I was standing on a large, narrow road that leads to my school. It was strangely quiet. No wind bending. Oh, fuck. Can you guys still hear me? Apparently, it says I went offline again. I don't know what keeps happening. It's every time I load these stories or something, I have a lag. I don't know what it is. I don't know. It just keeps messing with it. Hey, 15 people watching. Awesome. Thank you guys. Alright, I'm going to go for about another 20 minutes and then I'm going to go to sleep. I don't know if I'm going to make it that long, but hopefully I can make it another 20. A few days ago, I had a really scary dream. I was standing in a large, narrow road that leads to my school. It was strangely quiet. No wind was blowing. No birds were sitting. No insects were chirping. The road was completely empty, and there was nobody else around. I began walking. And just then, the strangest feeling that somebody was watching me, looking back over my shoulder. I spotted a small figure in the distance. It seemed to be running at full speed. I kept walking, but every time I glanced behind me, the figure was drawing closer. The whole thing made me very uneasy. It kept gaining on me and drawing closer and closer. At one point, it stopped in my tracks and looked back. The figure had stopped too. It was just standing there in the middle of the road, staring at me. And when I had started walking again, the figure was running after me. Eventually, the figure got close enough for me to make out his face. It was a clown. It was one of those sad clowns in the paintings. He was dressed in a shabby hat and terror bird coat, like a hobo. There he was staring at me. He really frightened me, and for a moment I thought, if he catches me, he will kill me. I wanted to run, but for some reason I couldn't. My legs felt heavy, and I could barely lift my feet. It was all I could do to keep the pace. The clown was getting closer and closer. Next time I glanced back, I could see the clown's eyes. He was crying. I saw my school in the distance, and a feeling of relief went over me. Something told me that if I could get there before he catches me, I'd be safe. But I reached the main gate of the school, and I turned around one more time. The clown was right behind me. He grabbed onto my shoulder and whirled around. The most terrifying thing was his face. It wasn't angry at all. Instead, a desperate, haunted look. Tears were streaming down his painted cheeks. "I caught you," he said. Then, to my surprise, he let me go and walked away. I stood there dumbfounded. How could you have been so stupid? I was scared for no reason. I began to laugh at myself, and the clown stopped in his tracks and turned around. He took a rusty knife from his pocket and held it to his face. "The second time I catch you, I'll have to cut you," he said. "The third time, I will have to kill you. See you next time." With that, the clown wiped the tears from his face and walked away. I woke up in a cold sweat. Ever since I had that dream, I've been terrified to go to bed. Yeah. For days, I have been filling up the coffee and the Coca-Cola and trying to desperately stay awake. I don't dare to shut my eyes, not even for one moment. I'm afraid that I might sleep, and if I dream, I know the clown is waiting for me. Holy crap, guys. How did you guys like that story? Golly. Yep, that one freaked me out, guys. Okay, I might be lagging here for a second. All right. Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry. That one was messed up. I hate clowns too. And I blame that on my mom because she made me watch it when I was a little kid. Okay, this one's called Bite Marks, and it's an urban legend from the Philippines about a policeman who comes in contact with a disoriented young woman. This is a 3-minute short story. In May 1951, a strange incident is said to have taken place in the city of Manila. Sorry, that's the capital in the Philippines, I think. In the Philippines. One night, the police officer was on patrol, and he came across an 18-year-old woman who was stumbling through the back streets. She was clothed in a flimsy dress and seemed to be talking to herself. He had overheard her saying, "Help me, help me, someone's biting me." The police officer suspected that she was high on drugs and suffering from hallucinations. He arrested her and brought her down to the police station. However, when he took off her handcuffs at the station, she and tried to take her fingerprints, the girl started screaming, "He's here! He's here! He's here! He's chasing me!" she said, before collapsing on the floor. As the policeman bent down to help her, he saw something that horrified him. Right before her eyes, fresh bite marks began to appear on the girl's shoulder and arms, wounds deep enough to start bleeding. The police officer couldn't believe what he was seeing and immediately contacted the chief of police. The boss was furious about having been disturbed at the middle of the night. He got out of bed and came down to the station to see what was wrong. At first, he thought the girl must have had made the marks himself, but when he explained to her more closely, he had realized that the bite marks were in the place that she possibly couldn't reach. "How can you chew on your own back?" he muttered, scratching his head. They decided to keep the girl at the police station overnight. They locked her in a cell. During the night, the police officer's task was watching over her, making sure she didn't hurt herself while she was in police custody. At dawn arrived, the girl was sleeping peacefully, and the policeman decided to break off for a cup of coffee. Just as he was pouring himself, the girl started screaming again. "He's back! He's back!" The girl with the blood-curdling cries were blood-curdling, and the police officer was so surprised he dropped his coffee. The cup smashed on the floor and struggled to his keys in his pocket, and he listened to the terrifying shrieks coming from the direction of the cells. He was sure that the girl was in fear of her life. By the time the police officer managed to knock off the doors of the cells, the screaming had stopped. The girl was laying on the floor in a pool of her own blood. Her throat had been torn out, and there was bite marks all over her neck. The police chief had arrived at the station with the coroner, and both men explained the girl's corpse. None of them could explain how she had been murdered while locked in a empty cell. Every policeman in the station was trembling with fear. According to the legend, the police covered up the strange incident and the girl's death was listed as a suicide. However, true details of the case have been recorded, by the Manila police in a special report, Top Secret Classified Casebook, heading Unsolved Mystery number 108, hashtag the bite marks. How did you guys like that story? That one's creepy too. These ones are all good tonight. Alright guys, I think I have time for about another story. And then I'm pretty much gonna be done here. The Drain is a real story about a boy who encounters a hideous creature lurking in the little bedroom. It is believed to be a true story. When I was about 10 or 11, hopefully my computer's running fine. When I was about 10 or 11, my family lived in a 3-story house. My bedroom was on the top floor. It was a small, square, and simple. There was a glass door in my bedroom that led into a small brick room. There was no ceiling on this room. There was a opening at the roof above that intended to be open to the air. There was nothing in this little room, just a drain in the middle of the floor. It was probably put there to allow the rainwater to drain away. There was something about the drain that bothered me. Whenever I saw it, I felt sick to my stomach. Once, even though I saw the drain cover jiggle slightly when I opened the door. There always seemed to be a chill in the air when I opened the door to the little brick room. I only ever had the nerve to open the door in broad daylight and would only take a peek inside. Even though the sun was blazing outside, it was always deathly cold in the brick room. The memory of what had happened in the room still haunts me and plagues my dreams from time to time. Shortly after I had moved into the bedroom, I started having bad dreams, very bad dreams. One night, I had a particularly horrifying nightmare, and I woke with a feeling that something was terribly, terribly wrong. Immediately, my eyes darted at the door, and I lay in bed, afraid to move, but unable to look away from the door, just in case there might be something there when I looked back. That was when I had first heard the whispering noise. It sounded like a wire brush softly rubbing against something. It wasn't coming from any discernible direction, but it seemed to gradually surround me like a blanket, pressing my ears. Eventually managed to fall asleep, but in the next morning I swore I could make out the footprints in the dust around the drain in the little brick room. After that, the whispering rarely stopped at night. It was already there. From time to time I switched off the light until I finally managed to fall asleep. Often I would wake up in the middle of the night to find a room completely silent. Then the whispering would start, as if it had already been waiting while I was awake. Over the next few months, the whispering continued, and it was a hollow shh that appeared to repeat itself over and over again. It didn't sound very scary or sad. It was just there. One night, something happened. I still have nightmares about this incident. It makes me cringe and want to curl into a ball every time I regroup it. You guys are funny. I woke from the terrible nightmare. The moonlight was barely filtering through the window, and I looked at the door. It was a little brick room, and that's when I saw it. To my utter horror, I made out something lurking there. My eyes adjusted to the darkness. It was a woman with dark curly hair and pale white skin. Her eyes were completely black and filled with anger and hatred. Suddenly, she began shrieking and pounding on the door with both fists. She had started swiveling around her neck, her head shaking back and forth like a kettle on a stick. Her hair tossed violently, and the skin around her mouth flapped loosely, giving me the grimace of her teeth and her tongue. Glimpses of her teeth and her tongue. Saliva dripped from the corners of her mouth and flew off as she shrieked. I was so terrified, all I could do is put out a high-pitched scream. As I screamed, she shrunk back out from the door, slithered down the drain, and her body twisted and distorted, and I swear I could hear her bones spurting and cracking as she turned herself down the drain. My father came in down the hallway into the bedroom, thinking I was having a nightmare, but when I got down to the door, the drain lady was already gone. It was awful, and to this day my father has not heard any scream so inhumanely before. I often jokingly ask him if he meant if he meant me or her. I often jokingly if he meant it for me or her. Okay. That story was creepy. Ugh. If I saw something down my drain, it would take a lot of Drano. I guess I have time for one more. Getting pretty tired, but I think I have time for one more. I'm going to do the elevator buttons, because this is literally the last one on the list. Okay, this is about a scary story about three kids who trapped themselves on a lift that seemed to have had a mind of its own. When I was a child, my parents lived in an old apartment building that was only 14 stories high. Like many buildings built without a 13th floor, it was straight from the 12th to the 14th. However, the elevator still had a 13th button, even though it didn't work. There was two other kids, Terry and June, who lived in the building. They were the same age. We went to the same school, and the three of us often played it together in the evenings. One day, while we were waiting for our parents to come home, we decided to explore the roof of the apartment building where we took the elevator to the 14th floor. We found the door had access to the roof. After a while, we grew bored and went downstairs to the elevator. We were halfway down, and June realized that she had forgotten something. She had left her coat on the roof. She had hit the stop button and then pressed the button to the 14th floor. Suddenly, the elevator ground to a halt, beeped 3 times, and the door slid open. Realized that we were stuck between 2 floors. Terry was about to slide through the opening when I grabbed him and held him back. I told him that it was too dangerous. If the elevator started up again, we were going to get out. We could be sliced in half. Instead, I jabbed the emergency button, and the elevator groaned again, and the doors slowly shut with a clang. "What's going on?" Terry said. I shook my head. "I don't know." As we stood shivering, the elevator lights suddenly went off, and we plunged into the darkness. Then one of the buttons lit up. It was the button for the 13th floor. None of us had ever pressed that button. It simply lit up by itself. It wasn't supposed to be lit up. There was no 13th floor. It said I was offline again? What the hell? I'm showing on the live feed that I'm good. How weird. Okay. It was supposed to be lit up. There was no 13th floor. To our complete and utter horror, we left the elevator that slowly moved upwards. June grabbed the top of the button, but it didn't work. We watched as the floors passed by. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. The sound of the scrapping metal in the elevator ground to a halt. The door slid open, and we were staring into pitch darkness. All three of us huddled together in the elevator, too petrified to move. And then we heard a faint noise in the murky blackness. It made our hair stand on end. Squeak! It was a wet and sticky noise. Then the kind of noise you get when you throw a wet cloth against a wall. It sounded like something soggy dragging itself across the floor. As we strained to have our ears listen and tremble in fear, it grew faster and gathering pace. It was a sticky, moldy smell in the air, stench of rotting meat, and then the sounds picked up pace, growing faster and faster. Then it sounded like it was upon us. The elevator suddenly sprang to life, and doors began to close. The stench of death and decay was unbearable. As the doors of the elevator shut with a clang, something smashed into them with a wet slap. The elevator doors creaked and began to go down. And when the doors finally opened, we found ourselves on the ground floor. My father was standing there. I saw him, and I jumped to embrace him. I still wondered what had happened, and if he hadn't pressed that call button to the elevator. If he hadn't pressed to call that elevator at that exact moment. Wow. That's his creepy story. Well, guys, I did make it to 2 o'clock. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. I hope you enjoyed the stories. Good night. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching and staying tuned for this whole time. I love you guys. Have a good night. Peace out. Yes, I will be back on tomorrow. Hopefully. Hopefully tomorrow night. I will be live tomorrow. So take care, everybody. Love and light. Peace out.